Hello, everyone. I think we are live now. Welcome to Inflo's webinar here today. We're going to be talking about transforming your audit, streamline, making things simple and successful. My name is Savannah. I'll be going through these slides for you today. First of all, just thank you for joining. Thanks for taking time out of your day. I'm really excited to guide you all through this session on reimagining your audit platform here. So we're going to be exploring how moving to a cloud-based digital audit platform is going to fundamentally change your audit processes for the better. So I'm really excited to get started. First off, just a little bit about me. My name is Savannah. Of course, I actually started with Inflo about a year and a half ago. I came here from KPMG, so I was an audit senior associate with KPMG for about 4.5 years, almost 5. So really what I do is I take that knowledge and I take that experience, bring it here, work with you all, audit firms on what you need, what you, experiences of holes that you might be having, things that you might want to work on or improve on. And then I know, how best Inflow could help you with those things. So that's kind of what my job is here. Since I was at Big Four, I have all of that good audit knowledge to apply here today. So I live in Raleigh. Little fun things about me, I guess. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, so I'm East Coast. I also on the side teach Pilates, so I'm a hot Pilates or hot mat Pilates instructor. Um, and then I have a golden retriever named Muffin. She is a year and a half. She's almost 2 years old. So pretty busy lifestyle, but I'm really excited to be here today talking to you about Inflow and your digital audit platform. A few things before we get super into the details, just a little housekeeping items. We ask that you do just keep yourself on mute. Obviously, that one doesn't need any discussion, just making it so it's nice and clear for everyone on the call here. We do have a chat functionality. We also have Q&A functionality as well in this webinar. So if you want to add a comment or if you want to ask a question, please feel free to do that. We'll be monitoring all throughout the session. I will hold an official, though, Q&A at the end. But at any time, if you see something on the screen or if a question just comes into your head, please feel free to just pop it in the chat and we'll be sure to get to it at the end. We are recording the session, as you probably would have seen at the beginning, and it will be shared with you afterwards. We'll send it out in an email. That way, if you want to send it off to other colleagues of yours who may have missed today or are just curious, you're able to do that as well. Also, if you have any tech issues, feel free to leave a comment for us to kind of help you troubleshoot that. But first, obviously, just try restarting it, turn it on, turn it off kind of a thing. So without any more housekeeping items to go, let's get into our agenda for the day. We've got a pretty packed agenda here. We're going to be covering some challenges that you might be facing or, audit firms face with traditional platforms, why traditional platforms are really kind of no longer fit for purpose. We'll talk about digital transformation, what that means, and how to implement it in a practical way. We'll also look at Inflo's digital audit solution and kind of highlight a couple key features there. So I'll be sharing my screen, showing you all the platform. We'll be going through that. Just a couple key pieces that I think would be really valuable for you all to see about what Inflo has to offer. And then we'll be able to walk through that with a live demo. So I'll be showing it to you live here. We'll finish looking at how Inflo supports audit firms in making the change without any of your disruption of daily audit practices. So that's kind of our loose agenda there. And then at the end or during the middle piece, we'll have a little Q&A session. So any questions you put in the chat, or if you come off of mute to ask live, we'll be answering any and all of your questions. So the first thing that we're going to do is kick it off with a poll here. We want to poll the room on how would you describe your current audit platform? So we'll get that live here. And then if you would just answer, how would you describe your own currently? So is it fully digital? Are you already on the cloud? Are you kind of a mix of tools that maybe some of it is on the cloud, some of it's on the desktop? Are you on the desktop base only, or are you still using paper heavy audit processes? So we'll give you all a minute here to fill out your answers. Although it looks like, well, okay, things are changing a little bit, but it looks like about 50%, still going to give you about 30 seconds-ish to answer if you'd like, but primarily desktop based is in the lead so far. Without seeing any change, I'll go ahead and end our poll here. So it looks like, let me share these results with you all. So it looks like we've got 10% that are fully digital. So I guess one individual, one audit firm. 4 individuals are a mix. So some still on desktop, some still on the cloud, and then the majority, or not majority, but I guess split right in the down the middle is still primarily desktop based. So I'm glad to see that nobody's still paper heavy. That's a really great thing to see. So yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you so much. So we'll be kind of going through, you know, what is it going to mean to move from, primarily desktop based into something that is fully digital in the cloud. So appreciate your answers there. So here is why traditional audit platforms are holding you back. So I'm sure this has been a topic of conversation. You hear everything, especially in the audit world, AI and all of these, tech leads are just driving the conversation in everybody's audit firm, especially in Big Four, where I'm used to. It's just always been a topic of conversation. So a lot of firms that speak to how they aren't keeping their talent, or they're struggling with keeping younger folks on their staff, or they're got really large turnover, as well as just using these really outdated platforms that aren't really designed for the way that we deliver audits today. It's kind of like, somebody invented it back in the day and everybody's just been using it blindly since, even though there's so many things that have changed in the world. Clients' expectations are extremely higher than they were a while ago. And even the standards, like meeting those standards and a lot of those regulations are getting to be a lot. And, primarily desktop based platforms kind of have this disconnect a little bit. So the result of all of this, so a lot of the things that we at Inflo kind of are working on with auditors is trying to pull that mindset of using that very static desktop-based system that might slow your team down, disconnected tools. You have all of these things that your audit team is using, but they're all separate tools. You've got some cloud-based, some desktop-based, some that are, completely unrelated, lack of visibility, frustration with that staff turnover, keeping those young folks involved, and then delivering that audit to your client it feels harder than it really should be. So at Inflo, what we try and do is work with audit firms to bring them into this new way of thinking about the audit platform. Digitize all of this, combine all of those tools into under one umbrella, one vendor. They are all fully integrated. They talk to one another, and it's cloud-based. You have insane visibility of your work programs for your staff, for all of your engagements all together, and the audit essentially feels so much easier, or at least better than it did. Audits are never easy, let's be honest, but it will feel like it's just less work. So this individual on the right hand is pushing this huge boulder up a mountain. It's not going to feel like that anymore. So today, really what we'll look at is how you can break out of this cycle with a platform that supports the way your team really wants to work. Those younger individuals want to use these tools that are groundbreaking. They're leading the charge with AI. They're leading the charge with tech focused pieces of things that they can use in their audit day to day. So we'll explore all of that with you today. So let's rethink this. We're not just digitizing these files. So we're not just taking, things from your desktop and putting it onto the cloud. It is part of it, right? But it's not what digital transformation really is. It's a piece, but it's really about reshaping how your audit process works from the ground up. So that starts with your platform. And with Inflow, audit workpapers, which is our audit file. So think about where you document your audit, your methodology, your procedures, where your team is really going to sit in the audit file the whole time. We really are focusing on live, structured, and securely accessible files from anywhere. So teams can collaborate in real time. You've got quality controls that are embedded into the workflow, and common tasks like rolling forward your documentation and all of that are extremely streamlined. So it's not just a patchwork of tools, it really is a unified experience. And we combine all these tools that you would kind of outsource for into one platform. So you've got your audit file, you've got your file sharing PBC tool that you can talk back and forth with your client, share that data, share that information. You've got data analytics that can provide visualization based off of risky transactions, and you can enhance your audit but also improve the client experience that you are providing to them currently. So we have one more poll. We have a couple more actually, but this is poll number 2 here. We're going to go live with that now. What is the biggest barrier to changing your audit platform? So if you answered in that, well, if you answered at all, but I'm curious really about those folks that answered in the desktop piece as well as the both, using both. What is it that's holding you back? Is it how much it's going to cost? Is it taking time away to implement that, that disruption, which is fear of disruption as well, kind of goes hand in hand. Training and adoption, is that something that you're worried about? And then you just don't know where to go. I'll give a couple minutes for us to answer that as well. We're like half and, oh, okay, just changed. Time to implement seems to be taking the lead here. All right, I'm gonna end the poll and share our results here. So I think it's so interesting that nobody said cost. So nobody, it doesn't matter what the cost is, unlimited budget for all. No, I'm joking, but I do think that's interesting, right? Like that's not necessarily the biggest barrier. I'm sure it is a part of the conversation. It's something that you have to consider, but it's not going to drive you away from it. Essentially, time to implement, how long it's going to take for your firms to roll out a new platform. Are you going to take a phased approach? How long is it really going to take you to change? Training and adoption, how long is it going to take my staff to get back up to speed? They're going to be having to do these items alongside their normal audit job. The deadlines of your clients are not going to change. So how can you change your audit platform, implement something new, train up your staff without disrupting your audit processes is a big deal. So I do agree with all of these points. Time to implement being the number one. It's just nice to know that. So thank you again, all that participated. Moving along here, what do firms really need? So what is it that firms really need in their audit firm to be able to provide tools and things for their clients that are streamlined, but also hold staff? So really the environment, of course, you need great client service, you need staff development, you need to keep them engaged, you need to keep them, understanding the purpose of what they're doing. I think that's a really big barrier to younger staff. They need a purpose. Simplicity in the workflow. If you overcomplicate things or if your current tool is overcomplicated, it's just going to seem harder to complete the audit than it really is. So that is what firms need as well. And then a tool that reduces the noise and increases the focus. So these are things that would make an audit team come together. They can cut all this noise out and then get to the main points of completing the audit quicker, which would then save their hours as well. So introducing Audits digital or Inflo's digital audit platform. So a little tiny kind of screenshot on the right-hand side of what Inflo looks like, and I'll be demoing some key features for you all today. So you will get to see what the platform looks like. You will get to see how it works and how we are going to move through all of that stuff. Inflo's digital audit platform was built for the ground up for auditors. So we always we always joke in Inflo that it's not a joke because it's actual fact, but it's just kind of a funny little thing that we say. It's built for auditors by auditors. So I'm from KPMG. Everybody else, our CEOs from the Big Four as well, we are all, ingrained in the audit process at any point in our career. So we've been there, we've done that essentially. And I think that's something that is different about Inflo. We're not just these people who tell you about something that they don't really know too much about as far as have you been there? Have you been in the trenches, doing the audit and trying to complete it, talking to the clients, getting all of those information and filling out those procedures? The answer at Inflo is yes, we've done this. So we've built it for auditors by people who know what we're doing. So that's something that I always love to say. Inflo has always been cloud-based, so cloud native. We've never been anything else. It's designed really to be intuitive and user-friendly, and I think you'll see that when we get into actually showing you the platform and moving through some of the modules. You'll see kind of how intuitive it is. You don't need, this in very extensive log of training or specific steps to be able to learn how to use it. It's very simplistic in that way, I think. Inflo is really designed to help firms modernize without overcomplicating. So that's kind of one of those points we discussed earlier, so that it can scale your needs, whether you have 5 people or 50. I mean, Inflo is designed to be able to work with firms that have 5 audits to 5,000 audits. And we have current clients that have both of those ranges, even higher. So the spectrum of how is this going to work for me it is built to be flexible and work with any type size firm. So even the methodology is really built for flexibility as well. You'll be able to see this when we go into workpapers, and I'll talk a lot about it, but you essentially can have Inflo's methodology be specific to your firm or to your clients. So it is the whole platform is built to flex with your firm and with your needs. Here are some of the key features that drive impact within Inflo. So we do offer a very structured and easy, simplified work paper structure. So it's designed to really be easy to navigate and to manage. We have analytics that are embedded right into the workflow, not just tacked onto the side. So for those of you who don't know Inflo or really have never heard maybe a lot about it, a little fun fact about Inflo is we actually started with data analytics tools. That's where we began. That was kind of our bread and butter. We wanted to really break into the market because nobody was really doing a lot of stuff. We've been around for about 10 years, so this was a while ago. And so back then, when we were, had those data analytics, we thought that where we found that a lot of the methodology that was in the market then and now didn't make room for those data analytics. So whereas firms could use them, but there was no what the firms were using for their audit software or their procedures, it didn't incorporate data analytics naturally. So that was kind of a barrier there. And so Inflo just decided that instead of trying to mold our data analytics into other people's methodology, we're going to create our own. And so that's how our structured work papers product was built. We created our own methodology that embeds data analytics alongside of your normal audit procedures. That way, you're not having to mesh this data analytics product with an outdated old way of doing things. So we've updated the methodology to include those integrated audit data analytics. And I think that really is a piece that makes it stand out. Not only that, though, but it helps you with real-time collaboration. So teams can collaborate live, and the platform really helps guide you through quality documentation without micromanaging your process. So I think we can all agree that auditors sometimes over audit or do too many things because you're used to that structured list functionality where you can probably decide to take or leave some items, but an auditor's mind is, well, I don't want to do too little, so I'm going to do too much. So it really, Inflow really does kind of help you visualize what you're doing, ensure you're not over auditing, but also make sure that you are exactly meeting the standard requirements as well. Not only that, but it has built in prompts and documentation aids that we will look at. So what we'll take a look at is in practice, what it looks like in real live in practice. I've got a short little demo I'm going to walk you through. We're going to go through the work paper structure. I'm going to show you how teams can collaborate live, demonstrate some of the analytics capabilities that are built into the platform. So I'm sure you're just at the edge of your seats waiting to see what the Inflow platform looks like. So without any further ado here, we are going to get into our platform demo. I'm going to pull up the platform here on my screen, and then we will hop in to the platform. So making sure we are all set here. I want to make sure, maybe I'll check in to our chat, see if we're all good. Looks like we are. Okay, perfect. I'm going to resume share, and we are going to hop in to my platform. One second, I have it pulled up, and perfect. All right. So in one second, I'm going to grab this and we are going to resume share. Perfect. So here, can somebody quickly just let me know in the chat if you can see the new, oh, got it. Perfect. Thank you, Zoe. Perfect. So here is the front page of the Inflow platform. So really quickly, just imagine a one client that you audit. So just one of your clients, their name would be up here at the top. So you can see who they are. You know, this is essentially an example of one. Now you're able to see every single client that you're added to as an engagement team by looking at our engagement list on the side. Now, don't judge me. I have a ton of different demo files here. I do this for my job, so I have a lot. But this would essentially be every other client. So, you know, a client, just imagine a different client as each one of these. So you can quickly see, you know, different visual aids that track any of the requests and things that your team is going to need to do. So you have that visual aid on the side. This is one of your audit clients. So as I mentioned before, this is our work papers product. It's probably going to be what we're going to spend the most time in. I also am going to show you some data analytics pieces as well. But these are all of the modules that Inflow offers. So that audit file that has that our methodology that is peer reviewed, QCM certified, that's Inflow's proprietary methodology, is that work papers product. We also have Collaborate, which is that file sharing PBC tool. So the things that you'd be able to add your client to and share information back and forth. We've got ingest, which is how we get your data onto the system. So you think about trial balance, GL, that's how the data comes onto your system. We've got some data analytics, which is essentially 5 of these 10 modules. That's, like I said, our bread and butter. That's what we started with. We have a sweet spot in our heart for data analytics tools. So the first 2 is Flux and Metrics. So think about risk assessment data analytics, things that you're going to be using at the beginning of your audit to kind of figure out what you're going to be sustainably testing in field work. This would be your planning and final analytics. And then these are financial ratios and metrics that you can release to your clients, which is really very helpful. They really love that. We've had great feedback around those. Now, the stuff at the bottom, explore, detect, revenue cascade, and select, relate to our GL data analytics tools. So these are more very low, very in the detail level analytics. Think about data visualization. It's going to look at the entire 100% of the GL. It's going to pull out things that your firm and your audit team can come through, visually see what is risky, what stands out, what you would want to then test. It allows you to pull out those transactions and substantively test them. So just a little module overview. A couple things we'll be going into today. I'll be going into work papers. Then I'll show you some stuff into Explore, and I'll show you Collaborate as well. That is super, very easy to go through, so it won't take very long at all. Without further ado, though, I'll hop into our work papers product. So this is going to be our audit file. Think about what you're going to have all of your engagement teams in, what they're going to be doing, and this is going to list out all their procedures. Everything that you need are going to be here. So here is what it looks like. Inflo separates our audit file into 3 phases. So we have planning, we've got field work, and we've got completion. And these little progress bars allow you to visually see how much progress has been made in each section. So on the left-hand side here, we have all of your procedures. So these are just going to be the things that your engagement team are going to be completing, and you can drop them down. And some of this will look familiar. You've got acceptance and continuance, independence, planning analytics, going concern, things like that. Those items are the things that your engagement team are going to be doing. And think if you probably have that desktop version, it's most likely like a checklist or something that you're doing. This is a little bit different. You can visually see that progress, and then jump around, do whatever you have as you get the data. Now in the middle, we have some nice visualizations that just allow you to track the engagement, the progress, the status, all of that stuff. So you can see everything is in draft. We haven't done anything. This is a brand new engagement here. Really, the 5-second training in Inflo is turn everything that is red green. I mean, that's it. You guys are super users now. You don't need any training or implementation for your firm. That's all you need to know. So everything that's red, you just want it to be green. That's all, the only thing you need to know. And that's what this status is showing you. It's that we haven't started anything yet. Once you do start, things will move to in review. They'll either get turned with review note comments, or they'll go into being complete. You also can see the due date if things are coming overdue, as well as items that each user has assigned to them. So it's just nice visual charts. They're filterable too, and I'll show you an example of that in a minute. But really, this will serve a purpose when you want to come in, just see what's in review, just see what you have on your plate, and just see what is potentially overdue. Now, on the right-hand side of the screen is our key information screen. One thing about Inflo is we try and challenge auditors' way of thinking by hoping that we can separate what they're used to, which is, maybe doing things like everything is in Excel, right? You've got your materiality is in Excel. You've got your lead sheets are in Excel. And so what that means is you can you're having to have all of these items on people's desktop, essentially waiting for them to be substantially complete. You don't know the status of it because it's saved on somebody's desktop. But what Inflo challenges you to do is move away from that type of thinking and put everything on the platform. And that doesn't mean uploading the lead sheet on the platform. That means it is going to be on the platform in replacement of that Excel sheet. Now, that's just a challenge. Obviously, that's not a hard and fast way that we do things here. But think about this like the lead sheet, like your materiality calculation. These pieces, whereas they're not a Excel sheet, they're just right here in the platform. So instead of having to download it, take a look at it, maybe edit it, save it again, and then upload it, you just open it up and it will be just here. So taking that into the lead sheet, Inflo will automatically create your lead sheet based off of your trial balance, your chart of accounts, which you would have uploaded on the Inflo platform. And so you can see here, we automatically do your lead sheet for you. Whereas, you probably would be used to having that Excel and maybe ticking and tying to your substantive tested details. You're able to just add a comment though here and reference it out to where you're substantively testing that. So it's the exact same thing. We're just challenging you to move away from the old desktop version to coming on to a native cloud-based software. So on the right-hand side of your screen is our key information screen where a lot of those items are held. So think about, you can see Inflo's color scheme here is kind of red, orange, yellow, and green. So blue is not a part of that. So blue does not need any engagement team input. Really blue is there acting as sort of like your a filing cabinet in your audit room, something that you can just keep storage files there, all of your review note comments, all of your adjustments, all of your findings. As your team is going through these steps here, they're going to attach documents. They're going to have review note comments left. And instead of being like, oh gosh, where did I leave that attachment? It's automatically going to be here for you anyway. So it'll combine everything you attach on these in these blue buttons here. That way you can, I like to call them convenience buttons. That way you can just refer to them whenever you need to. Same with review note comments. Where did I leave that review note comment? I don't remember the work program. It doesn't matter. You can just come right here. Same with adjustments and the findings. Now the stuff from at the bottom of the line, red is a part of that color scheme. Turn everything that is red green. So these items will need engagement team input. The stuff on the bottom here kind of acts as like your permanent audit file. Think about things that would not substantially change very much from year over year. Things like relevant in-scope business process areas, related parties, your risk and response. Those things roll forward with you year over year. So those things will need engagement team input in the red. So that was just giving you a little lay of the land of what we're looking at here, how you can utilize this front platform and all of that good stuff. But let's dive into one work program and show you what that looks like. So I'm just going to start at the first one, the acceptance and continuance. We are in draft right now. And I think there's a Q&A in the chat from Cody. Are you able to change the status types? And we'll get into that in a second. So if they're in draft, in order to move that to review, you would need to prepare it. So you have to complete the work program, prepare it, and then that would obviously move it over into in review. So I'll get to that and show you how that works in a minute. So whenever you're going into one work program here, you can see there's this large progress bar at the top. You've got your predefined procedures and predefined responses. So Inflo's methodology is designed to meet the standards exactly. So you are able to take Inflo's methodology off of the shelf. We have methodology for all assurance engagements. So audits, reviews, preps, comps, EBP engagements, all of that stuff is included in Inflo's work paper module. So if you are doing an audit, you'll have a list of different content packs that you can select from, whether that be single HUD, government, EBPs, just like I said, financial institutions, PCAOB, regular AICPA audits. You have those content packs to choose from, and as well as you have all the different ones for the other assurance engagements that I did not mention. We also allow you to even further enhance that specific stuff for your client by selecting the industry. So whatever industry that you might be auditing, if that is manufacturing or charter schools or government funds, you're able to even further drill down into those industry specifics as well. So as you're just taking, what I mean by taking Inflo's methodology off the shelf is just using it, putting it into the audit file and not changing a single thing. You are able to do that and it will be 100% compliant with the standards. And you're able to even see which procedures are addressing specific standards. So next to these procedures, you might see some of these blue books here. That means that it is directly required by a standard. You can click on it, see that AUC or whatever it is. If you choose a different content pack, if you're doing an IFRS engagement, you'll be able to see what standard it exactly hits. And we also have mapping practice aids where if you want to go even further, you can even go very in the details to see exactly, all the standards and all of that good stuff. So the ones that do not have that are essentially editable. So if you wanted to edit the wording of this procedure, if you wanted to add a response, you were able to do that. And that goes into the flexibility of the Inflo platform and how it can flex to your niche clients, how can it flex to your individual firm. If you have a procedure that your firm likes to do year over year, put it into the workflow. You don't have to change what you're doing to fit Inflo. Inflo can flex to fit you, essentially. So as we're just going through, I just want to give an example of how it looks to fill out a procedure here. We're going to just answer some of these questions. So you might notice a little hand that is like pointing down. This means there's a downstream dependency. So Inflo is all about trying to save the auditor time, So if you were to click this, it just means that if you were to select management as those charged with governance, Inflow will automatically update all of these other procedures with that exact same response. Because if you were to do that or leave it up to your audit team, there is a chance that human error could possibly happen. But really the bottom line is they would be duplicating their efforts, and we don't like that. So we want to try and save the auditor as much time as possible. So if we were to just go through, start making our selections here, the progress bar is going to move with us the more we fill out the work program. We have the option to leave additional evidence. So if you want to attach the list of all the board of directors, you could, or if you wanted to add a text box, you could as well. It's not required since this was just a straight, pretty straightforward answer. It's going to log your name and the date and your time as well. So as you're going through, you can see that change with us. The progress bar is moving. It's adding in when we did things and who did them. And when we get to a procedure that says something like this, I completed something, it's going to make you prove it, basically. So as an auditor, you've got to prove everything that you did, everything you say you did, every sentence you type needs to be backed up with some sort of evidence. So if you were to select this one, an automatic pop-up box is going to come up for you to then prove it to the system that you did do it. So Inflow is fully integrated with Microsoft 365. So that just means instead of having that, let's just say it's a work paper or something, instead of having that sit on somebody's desktop and you're just waiting for it to be done, you don't know who has this, what's going on, where is this document sitting, you can put it on the platform or create it on the platform. Open it in browser. It sits on the platform. Multiple people can collaborate here. It'll automatically save your changes. You can revert, see the history, the version history as well. And so that's the plus there is that you're not having to just wait for somebody to be substantially complete on their desktop. You also can pull things over from other modules. So like I said before, all of our modules are fully integrated. So that just means that they talk to each other. You can share information back and forth. You can pull items in from Collaborate. So if the client sends you a file, in our PBC tool, and you want to attach that to your work program, you can just copy it over. There's no download this, save it, then upload. That's what we're trying to eliminate there. So this is what it looks like. I'll show you what it looks like to have something attached. And if you added some text, that's what that looks like. So you would come all the way down, continue it out, go through until you are 100% done with this work program. And when you get to the bottom, and Cody, I think this might be hopefully going to answer your question soon, is that you'll get to this work program activity history. So we are in draft here. That's the status of this work program. If you want to move it to the next stage, it needs to be finished. Essentially, you can prepare it without it being done. If you want, you can leave a description or a note to the reviewer saying, I'll come back to this, but can you review steps 1 through 2? If not, you would just go ahead and prepare it, and that changes the status automatically. So you would need to prepare it to have it automatically be changed into in review. And then the reviewer can come in and review. They can leave review no comments. They can send it back with review no comments or save as it is. So hopefully that is a little bit of an answer to that question as well. Now I want to go back to the front page here. So we just did an example of one. So this work program is at 100%. And as you can see, this one draft has now moved to in review. So it's getting a little bit closer to that green color. And I want to point out this for the reviewers too. So these are filterable. Let's say a reviewer comes into the file and they just want to see what's in review. They just click on this and it filters all the work programs on the left-hand side just to show you things in review. Now, for partners, they're not going to want to go through and review all of these different work programs. That's going to be a little much. So we've created a specific place for partners to come where we have combined all of those work programs that they're going to need to sign off on into one procedure. So they have to go to one place, they sign off one time, and that partner review flows up to everything else. So they saves them a lot of time as well. So that was kind of an example of what it looks like to do just one work program. I know it was quick. I want to get into our risk and response, and I'm going to do it a little bit higher level so that we can get into some of the data analytics. But the risk and response is really important here because in Inflow, we use something called Inflow High, which is different from AI. I know that's probably a trigger word, but hybrid intelligence is what it's short for. And it is different from AI in that Inflow High is built to be relied upon. You know, AI, you kind of have to maybe fact check it a little bit or like make sure it's pulling up the right thing. There's a disclaimer at the bottom saying it could make mistakes. Inflow High is specifically designed to be relied upon by the auditor. So it's going to act as like this super senior that's on your team that is going to generate help and do some procedures for you, but it's going to be you're going to be able to just take it for its word. So let me show you how it works. Now, the risk and response is in two different places. If your engagement team is just going top to bottom, you're just kind of going through these, you're automatically going to get to this risk assessment work program, and it's going to be linked in there as well. Or you can just hop over to your permanent audit file section, and your risk and response profile is going to pop up. Now, we do give you the option to complete this manually. So that just means you have access to Inflow's risk library. You can select things that are applicable and then link them to the appropriate responses. Or again, we're trying to save the auditor some time here. Nobody likes doing all that admin linking, admin thinking, stuff like that. So we want to apply Inflow High to help you save some time. It takes about 30 seconds to run. What it's doing is it's looking at your trial balance, it's looking at your chart of accounts and saying, okay, here's how they're mapping these accounts. Then it's looking at your materiality that you would have previously set. And it's saying any in scope account that is over materiality is going to be deemed an in scope business process area, right? Because if it's over materiality, you're probably going to want to sustainably test it. So it's going to deem that to be in scope. Then on top of that, it is going to pre-link risks and make pre-linked and suggested responses for you as well. So in that, it does, everything is a suggestion, but it is meant to be relied upon. And by that, I mean, you can either take what Inflow High is suggesting, but a lot of times, there's a niche a client or something like that that takes a little bit, different of an approach, and that's totally fine. So what that means is you would just need to maybe make some edits or make some adjustments. So I'm going to show you what that output looks like here. So in our response to risk, what you'll notice is that there's nothing here. So we were in planning just a couple minutes ago. We were doing some procedures, but if I click into risk or response to risk, which is our fieldwork phase, there's no procedures here. And it's because we have not told Inflow what the risks are and what our responses are. So we first have to go and do that risk assessment. So on our front page here, I'm going to do this and then hop to a new engagement here. So what this is going to look like is you're going to have this risk and response profile that is going to pop up, and you would be able to see the risks and the responses on screen. So you've got risks on the left-hand side, responses on the right. So you can see here, I'm going to hide some out of scope business process areas. You can see that sales is in scope. This is a very high dollar value amount here. And so it is deemed it to be in scope. And all of these are risks that Inflow High has attached to sales. So all of the stuff, it's colorful, right? So the green is normal, all the way up to red being a significant fraud risk. So if you click into sales, you can see the profile for sales. You've got all of these risks were linked by Inflow High. So they automatically come through. Your engagement team can decide if they're applicable or not. So usually it just takes some engagement team input to review, but they don't have to spend time doing the manual linking. They don't have to spend time looking at this massive list of risks, basically option paralysis, right? Where they're just like, I don't know what applies, what doesn't. Now they can kind of see, does this apply? Does this not? Really challenge them. They're doing the more meaningful work instead of the very laborious admin task stuff that you would typically see a senior do here. So these are pre-linked. You can delete them very easily. So if you go in, you just delete them. You can also add new ones. So if you see things that you want to add, you have access to Inflo's risk library. You can also create your own. So it's very flexible. It's just designed to save you time. On the right-hand side, you can see that these are our responses that Inflo High has suggested. So you've got your normal stuff like sales cutoff, you've got sales return, revenue recognition, also some data analytics stuff, and it links it to the risks that it is actually going to address. So at the bottom here, this inherent risk heat map is going to show you the most risky risks that you should probably focus on, all the way to the things that are pretty normal. It's just a visual aid to show you the risk that is the most risky. Once your engagement team comes through here, checks out what Inflo High has done, documents the risks, and then saves it, you will get a field work that looks more like this. So whereas before I showed you a blank field work page where there's no procedures, this is what it looks like when Inflo High is filled out. So you've got your substantive test of details here. We were just in sales, so you can see it's built out this lead sheet for sales specifically for you to then keep looking at. It has this risk and response summary, which is really great for the reviewer to take a look at. It's going to give all of our substantive test of details here for you to visually see the progress on each one. It's linked to each risk that it's addressing, the assertion, all of that stuff. So the reviewer can come in here and see this stuff, and it is just very nice engagement tracker. The substantive test of details also looks pretty similar to our front page and planning as well. So you've got these predefined procedures and the responses. So engagement teams complete that risk and response. They do the things that we've got for those risks, seeing if they're applicable, and then they begin their substantive test of details. So I want to quickly move to analytics because I want to make sure that we hit that. I know we only have a few minutes left. So let's hop into Explore. So I think Explore is probably, I go back and forth. I think Explore is probably one of my favorites. Explore and Detect are my two favorites, I think. Not that there's anything wrong with Revenue Cascade. I just, as a senior, would always audit journal entries, and that's what Detect is journal entry sampling. And then I would always also audit sales, if you couldn't tell. So those things I think are probably I'm able to speak to them in more depth. So here's what Explore looks like. This is our one of our GL data analytics tools. So it's going to show you data visualization. That way you can pick out risky transactions. And it allows you to really kind of flex this to what you want to see. So as you can see, it's going to separate this data from the statement of profit or loss to the statement of financial position. So you can toggle back and forth between the two, see how the graphs change. You can even like uncheck different accounts. Like say you don't want one of these accounts involved, you can just unselect it and the graphs will update and change. Now you can keep it here and look at it at a very high level, or you can go into the account view where you can see a more detailed version with each account. So like I said, my heart is always in sales, so I will always use this as an example. Income is always something that I'm used to auditing, and now we're here. So if you can see, this is all of the accounts that are included in these graphs. So all of these here, if you wanted to take one away, say it's immaterial, you're not going to test it, go ahead. It'll update those graphs. So let's hop into one. I'll show you how it works. So this graph is looking at people who can post journal entries. So these are users of the journal entries here. On the bottom is each month of the fiscal year, and then a monetary value on the left-hand side. So your engagement teams can change the primary and the secondary variable. You can see here that it's on the effective period at the bottom and then users here. But if you wanted to do like document type or something else, your firm can change it and the graphs change. You can also add a comparison graph. So this is sales. Let's say we want to add a comparison graph and put cost of sales next to it. That way we're seeing the inverse. You can see this and you can do these side by side comparisons and do an analysis like that if your team wishes. So what is the point? What are we doing here? What we're doing here is visualizing the data and identifying unusual transactions or things that just stick out. So I think a lot of people are like, how will my engagement team know what sticks out? And that question always, I understand it, but then again, I'm like, I'm sure you would see what sticks out pretty obviously in some cases. So in this, the first thing that comes to my mind is there's something here in December where there's in no other month. I mean, it takes that auditor eye to be able, not always, because this is just visually, you can just see it, right? But to me, in an auditor's eye, that would be a sales cutoff risk. And I would want to check this out because this just might throw up some red flags. So if there's anything that, catches your eye, you click into it. Inflow will show you all the transactions that make up that little bit, and then you can analyze them. So it'll show you the account code, it'll show you the description of the journal entry. You can click into the transaction ID to see both sides of the entry here. That way you can kind of see what's going on. What is it hitting in the front end and what is it hitting on that other end as well? Decide if it is a riskier transaction. If it is, you select it and you create a sample selection. So this is going to talk to another one of our modules, which is our file sharing PBC tool, Collaborate. You're going to be able to pull a sample selection that you deem as high risk out of our data analytics tool and send it straight to the client. You can ask for specific information. So if this is a sales, say I would want, please provide the sales invoice, please provide the bill of lading, or things like that that you would want to request the client. You can ask them directly. They can give you information back and forth. And then you can also document your approach, which they don't see as deemed by this little detective person emoji there. So it's a full, fully integrated platform that you're able to then make that sample selection, send it off to the client, and then continue your research. Something else that I would note is that this blue doesn't show up until April, and maybe that's a new user, but maybe it's not a sample selection, but maybe it's a client or a question to the client. So that just says that you can use this in many different ways. Yes, you can use it to sample, reducing your sample size, but you can also just use it to learn more about the client. Ask things that maybe you would not have seen otherwise or even known about otherwise. So it's kind of the same concept for each of these 4 graphs, but they're all showing you different things. So this is a bump chart where you can go in, see who's posted what. See, that's that purple that we just identified as maybe a question to ask to the client. They had no entries posted until April. So maybe I would just want to ask, are they new? Confirm, the usage. Everybody looks pretty consistent, but maybe there's some inconsistencies that you would be wanting to ask. And you can also use this as document type. So you can see, is it consistently being used? Like that's pretty consistent. None in April. Maybe that's the question. That looks pretty consistent, but maybe this doesn't. So this happened once in March and not at all throughout the year. That's a question that I would want to ask, especially if it's a material item. So these things that you're able to pull out that are pretty user friendly, as it doesn't take a degree in data analytics for you for your team to use these. We also have ones that you can see, material or the monetary value. So are they high dollar value transactions? Because you want to be able to test those as well. Now, I know we only have a few minutes left, so I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to show you one more thing with one of the data analytics tools. This is Detect. So this is our journal entry sampling tool. And I remember having to do this at KPMG, and it was awful. It took so many hours. It was so painful having to just deal with this massive GL. I mean, I was control Fing for like fraud. So that's like a keyword routine that if you're not familiar, senior associates would try and do to find keywords in the journal entry description of a journal entry to then, test it substantively. And it's required. Journal entry sampling is just like sales, significant high risk. Everyone's going to be looking at that test work template, the partner, probably the peer reviewer. It's one of the most scrutinized pieces in your audit file sometimes. And so even the big 4, didn't have a solution to how to appropriately test the full GL, especially with these very high risk associated areas. So I was over here control Fing for journal entry descriptions, and it took me hours when in fact, if KPMG had a tool like this, it would have saved me a lot of time. So this is just one piece of Detect I want to show you. It automatically runs these routines for you. So you have the GL in the platform. It's going to run all of these routines off of 100% of the GL, and it's going to give you the results. So your team just goes into whatever core routine that they want to look at. It sees data. They can see the data points, but then they can edit the keywords too and see the transactions that were selected. Now you do have the ability to create your own custom routines, like an unusual account combination, something that hits revenue but doesn't hit X, and then a custom filter as well. So you're able to kind of make this your own, essentially, routine that fits your firm and fits the client that you're auditing. So I just wanted to point that out because it's really close to my heart, and I know that senior associates really, really would appreciate this tool. At least I would. So talk about talent retention. This would be a huge game changer there. So I wanted to go through that for sure, but because of our time, I want to kind of go back into our presentation and just wrap things up a little bit. So I wanted to go into just benefits at a glance here. So we kind of went through a lot of this, the inflow, how it works, how we're going to save the auditor time, how we're going to make sure that your answers are consistent. You have quality, quality things that you're performing, quality staff, the seniors are going to be really happy with the detect. I promise. And then how you can deliver a lot more value to your client. So those data analytics tools, that's valuable stuff to your client that you would be providing with them. Our last poll of our session here today is, what is the biggest outcome you're hoping to achieve with a new audit platform? So we'll get that live here right now. Are you trying to achieve, time savings and efficiency? You want to improve your audit quality, better staff experience, better clients experience, better client service, or just trying to comply with those standards more in line? A lot of it is time saving and efficiency so far, and that's really Inflo's goal, honestly. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and share our results here. So it actually was a pretty even split of improved audit quality, but also time savings and efficiency, which is great because that is definitely in line with what Inflo is trying to give our auditors here. Now, Inflo has what we like to call our own proven process because, adopting that new audit platform can feel like a really big change. A lot of you made that poll suggestion at the beginning where, the time and implementation is the biggest barrier for you. With Inflo, you're not on your own to figure it out. We use this proven process rollout on every single client, and it is designed to be able to flex with those small and mid-sized firms all the way up to those larger firms as well. So it's designed to, make the training and the implementation fit your pace. So we stay with you literally every single step of the way. I know auditors love a good process. We love a good visual aid about where we're supposed to go next. So you can kind of tell that this was designed by auditors as well, where we take you all the way through, having that live demo, which we're actually right about here in the evaluation stage. And then you can, trial it out. We take you through onboarding and then advancing you up with optimization. So it consists of those 5 phases, and you'll be able to kind of see that in more depth along with the process as well. So we've talked a lot today. So I just wanted to stop and say thank you so much for your time and attention. Really what we talked a lot about though is what a modern audit platform really does look like. And more importantly, what it enables your firm to be able to do. So, I mean, Inflo it's not just replacing your old tools. It really does transform your workflow, and you'll spend a lot less admin time. You'll be more consistent with your deliverables, and your team will actually really like to use the tool. So in part 3 of this series, we'll take the next step of how to use your audit platform to meet the new quality standards with confidence. So that's going to be with my colleague, Kara, right here. It is October 23rd is our next live webinar session here. There's also a Q&A or sorry, a QR code on the right-hand side if you want to book a demo. We can do something that's more specific to your firm. I apologize. I do get carried away talking about the platform. So if you asked a question and I missed it, I will be sending you a follow-up email with the answer. But I really appreciate the participation and your time. I'd love to connect with you if you want to connect with me, and I'll answer any of your questions afterwards as well. But I'll be sure that you have my email address. That way you can always contact me if you ever need anything or have any follow-ups. But I really appreciate your time and attention today. And I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much.